Well, welcome back to Mr. Obsolete's Vintage Homesteading. Well, this will be our first real video since Mrs. O took a big tumble and broke her leg here recently. So anyway, we're not going to be out doing any heavy-duty work outside because she can't walk yet. Although I do have some good chainsaw videos lined up further down the road. But anyway, I'm going to be talking about stuff that we do in-house, and since it's summer and camping time, mainly what we collect are engines and related stuff, but stuff like this we use also a lot. So this is a Coleman 500 stove, single burner stove. It's a Canadian model. It's about a 1962 model. And what we use these for is, if we're out camping or stuff like that, we use them for cooking. I use it to heat linseed oil when I'm doing the handles on my miscellaneous tools. Well, I'm going to talk about how these things operate. To begin with, some of the features. Maybe a fuel filler right here. And of course these use white gas or Coleman fuel or other brands, but pure gasoline with no additives and about 50 octane. So you see here there's a pump. This builds air pressure in the fuel tank, and this knob here controls the amount of fuel coming to the burner assembly, which is here. And then there's this tube here, that's what's called a generator, and as the heat gets on that, it turns the fuel into a vapor, comes back around here and back into the burner, and then you light it. This little lever right here, when you go to start these things, you put it in a certain direction, and what that does, it brings air into the system, and there's a little pickup tube. It'll pick up a small amount of fuel, so you start out with a vapor, and then the flame will be kind of a yellow color to start with, and as it starts to clean up and burns kind of a blue color, you take that lever and move it, and what that does, it'll make it run this raw gas into the tube here, and as the heat gets on it, turns it to a vapor. And so anyway, so we got fuel in it already, so we're going to pump it up here and open this valve at one turn. There's a hole here. You put your thumb over that, put about 20 to 30 pumps in there. Okay, we've turned the lever to the start position, so what we're going to do is light this and open the valve here. Instant light. And you see there's a little bit of yellow in the flame there, and the flame will be just a little bit uneven. And so it needs to run about 30 seconds to a minute before it becomes really good and clean. Not doing too bad, so we'll switch the lever over to the run position. We're running on raw fuel. You can see a nice even blue clean flame. Let's put out a lot of heat. We'll move on to the next one. Okay, these little single burner stoves here, model 501 and 502. This is a 502. They were made from 1961 until 1985, and there's later versions of them that have different numbers, but this basic stove is just through those years. So I've pumped it up already. We got fuel in it. So this lever here is the, you couldn't see it on this one. This one you put it up to light, and there again it lets in air, and then the siphon tube will pick up a little bit of fuel. Once it burns, then you turn this down and you get straight fuel going into the generator. So, we'll get this lit here. Let's see how easy those light up. We got a nice clean flame already. Turn it down, and again, lots of heat. There's some controversy on these. They have a heater drum on them, and you can actually heat a tent, but you need a little bit of ventilation, but it's not because of poisonous gas and stuff. It's just that it uses up the oxygen in the tent. So anyway, these are, like I say, both Pullman stoves, US made stoves. Well, our next stove here is kind of an unusual piece. This is a European design. It's a Solas design, but it was actually made by Coleman for a number of years, and that was from 1949 through 1955. Now the other two stoves, the Coleman stoves, they run on white gas. This actually runs on kerosene, or paraffin as it's called in Europe. So I'll show you how this one works. It's kind of an unusual piece. Right here you see this metal cup, and this is filled with alcohol. So we fill this up and light it. It's hard to see that flame. And over here is your fuel filler cap, which is tight and has fuel in it, and then there's a little vent valve, and you keep this open. And what this does is, as it burns the alcohol down, it heats up the element on the top here, and then once the kerosene gets hot, it'll ignite up here. Once we do a couple other things, one of them is that when this burns almost all the way out, we shut this valve, and then we'll pressurize the tank slightly, and then we'll light it. So we'll be back as soon as the alcohol's burned up. Okay, we're going to close the little vent valve here. We're going to pressurize the tank. And the little vent valve is actually what you use to control the amount of fuel coming up, because when the thing is heated, the heat from the burner actually heats the tank up, and once the pump pressure is off, it's just the heat of the burner and stuff pressurizes the tank enough to keep it going. Top on there, cook away. Another thing puts out a lot of heat too, but it's also really noisy. So I'll shut it off by opening the valve here. Just a real simple thing. So we can go on to another European stove. This is a very common little stove. It's a Primus, and that's made in Sweden. It's number 71. And that company's been around since the turn of the century or right before it. Basically it works on the same design, but this runs on kerosene or paraffin or white gas. And there again, this area depressed here, you pour the alcohol in there. Make sure your cap is tight. Light it. Hard to see, so you have to make sure that it's going. There's also a paste you can get, and then comes with a little key attached to it and stuff here that you use to open a valve. So we'll let that burn down and be right back. Alcohol just about out. So there again, that jet there makes a lot of noise, but this one, you know, you can cook up marshmallows or a hot dog or something like that, or small stuff. You know, this one here I'll show next, but show you more features on it. But anyway, collecting old stoves is kind of interesting, and we've had them for years and use them a lot too. So anyway, I'll shut this one off. This one I'm not going to light, but I'm going to just talk briefly about it. Top comes off here, and comes with a little handle here. So you can use it, it goes in this way, but you can boil your water. This one, the key for turning it on is unique. It has holes cut in it for all the different nuts and bolts and whatever on here. And then, you know, it has these 3 ears so you can put a bigger pot on it. And this top actually comes off here. Just turn it and lift it off. There again you have the control here, knob and stuff, and then the burner. And this one you can use on just about any kind of a fuel, naphtha, white gas, kerosene, diesel, even jet fuel. And you can see it's got a little port on it here, so it's for an air pump like we use on the old style Coleman stuff here. Well, you can see collecting old stoves is got a lot of different varieties and stuff, and we'll do ones on camp stoves and other brand X lanterns as time comes on. But I really want to thank everybody again for all the kind comments and keeping us in their prayers, because Mrs. O is going to be off her feet for a while. She broke her ankle in 3 places, and so she's not going to be able to walk for a bit. But anyway, as time goes on, we'll be back doing the outdoors and the chainsaws and all the other stuff like we normally do. So anyway, thanks again for watching, and our next video will be on August 20th. We're going to be able to do them every 2 weeks. So vintage is best. See you soon.